My name is Monesh and I have more than a decade's experience into software. The objective of this video is to learn the very basics of Python programming. We would be learning what an expression is, what are the various data types, what are the different types of operators and the flow control statements. We would also be learning the data structures of Python. So friends, let us get started.
Hello friends, so now we would be installing Python. Before installing Python, we will check if Python is already installed on our machine or not. So for that, we would open command prompt and we would simply say Python -- version. So as you can see, we are getting error stating Python was not found. So this means that Python is not installed on a machine. So let us install Python. So to install Python, we would simply open Google. So we would simply say download Python. Okay. And as we are able to see, we can go on this site python.org.downloads. We can download Python 3.11.4. Okay, so as you can see, the .exe has been downloaded. We would simply execute it. It would ask us for install now. Also make sure that we check this one. It says add path.exe to the path. So this would automatically make an entry of the Python path to the path variable. Okay, and we would say install to say yes. As you are able to see, it is getting installed on our machine. Okay, now we will again check if Python is installed or not. We would go on command prompt and say Python -- version. Okay, we are able to see that Python 3.11.4 has been installed. So search for IDLE, and then this is the default IDE of Python. So this is the command line where we can put like 34 plus 56 and it would give us 90. So let me know if you face any challenges while installing Python on your machine. Kindly put your challenges in the comment box and I would try to revert back as soon as possible. So see you in the next lecture where we would be covering the very basics of Python. Thank you. Hello all, welcome back to the channel. So in the last video we installed Python. In this video we will go through the very basics of Python programming. That is, we will understand what an expression is, what are the various data types and some of the simple arithmetic operators. So let's get started. So first we would be using the default IDE provided by Python. So simply search for IDLE. So we need to use this IDLE Python. So this is a command line for Python where we would provide a command and Python would evaluate it and provide us with the output. So let us start with a simple arithmetic operation which is 2 plus 3. So as you can see, Python has provided us with the output 5. So let us now go through the command. So basically what you see here, this is called an expression. So the expression consists of value. So here 2 and 3 are value and the addition symbol, it is called operator. So basically we are providing a expression to the Python and Python is evaluating the expression to give us a value. So you must be wondering what are operators are there. So we have already checked with the addition. Similarly, there is subtraction operation. So it is 5 minus 3. There is multiplication, 5 multiplied by. Okay, so here if you see, I did not give it the correct syntax, so it gave us error. So don't be afraid if you get errors. So this is a simple error which we got because of syntax issue. So for multiplication it would be 5 multiplied by 3. So basically expression, it requires minimum 2 values and 1 operator. We have division, 5 divided by 3. Then to get only the quotient, we would use double slash 5 double slash 3 give us only the quotient. If we wanted the remainder, we would use the modulus symbol, percentage. So basically percentage, it would give us the remainder. So to get the quotient and remainder in one command, we can use div mod 5 comma 2, 5 comma 3. So we got the quotient and the remainder. And the last operator is exponential. So it's like 5 multiply by 3. So this exponential, it is equivalent to 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 5. So these are the basic arithmetic operators. We would now check the various data types. So up till now we have worked only on numbers. So both the positive numbers and negative numbers, these are called integers. So one of the data type is integer, which is positive and negative numbers. Then the second one is float. So float is basically an integer with a decimal value. So it can be positive and it can be negative. The third one is string. So basically string is a combination of alphabets, numerics and special symbols. So we would say apple, apple is a string. So as you can see, there is a single quote for strings. So the reason being, a string can have a space, right? So example, I would say apple are red. Okay. So here the Python is not able to understand where a string would, simply end. So that's why we always use single quotes to know the start and end of a string. The last data type is true and false, which is a Boolean. Okay. So true and false are some of the reserved keywords of Python. So whenever it is capital T and then true, then this means Boolean value. And similarly, false is a Boolean value. The last data type is none, N-O-N-E. So none stands for the empty value. In some of the codes, we may want to return a none function, or maybe when we declare a variable, we don't want to assign it a value. That time we can use none. Hope you have understand the 4 basic data types of Python. So now let us move on with a simple operations of string. So suppose if we have a string apple and if we have another string mango. If we want to concatenate both the strings, we can simply say apple plus mango. Okay, so that would concatenate the two strings. In integers, the plus symbol, it was doing addition, whereas for string, the plus symbol will do a concatenation. Suppose if we want to have apple 3 times, so we would write basically apple and apple 3 times, right? So in Python, we can use replication. So basically we would say apple multiplied by 3 times. So that would replicate apple 3 times. So when we are doing concatenation of a string, we can concatenate a string only with another string. We cannot concatenate it with a number. So basically if we try to concatenate it with integer, we would get an error. So we should not be scared of errors. We should try to read the errors and understand them. So here the error says trace back most recent call. So our recent call was Apple press 3. Then here it says can only concatenate str, not integer to a str. So str is also a reserved keyword which is used for string. So we would look into it in the future videos. So as per this error, we understand that we are not able to concatenate string with an integer. In a similar way, we cannot concatenate a string with a float, and we cannot even concatenate a string with a Boolean value. As for replication, we can replicate only with integer values. For example, Apple multiplied by 3. Okay, we cannot replicate with a float. Okay, this would give us error. So I hope that you have understand the basics of what an expression is, what are the different data types and the different mathematical operators. In the next video, we will learn about variables. So basically here we have been typing Apple multiple times. So how we can store a string or in fact any value in a variable and the various rules of variables. In case you are facing any challenges, please provide the details of the error in the comment box and I will try my best to reply back to you. So see you in the next video. Thank you. Hello all, welcome back. In the last video, we have learned about the various data types and the mathematical operators which we can use. So in this video, we would be learning about variables. So as you can see, in the previous one, we have written Apple way too many times. So we were repeating the string Apple and we needed to write Apple multiple times. So instead of that, we can create a variable. So maybe I would say A is equal to Apple. Okay. Let us understand this expression. So here A is a variable to whom we are assigning a value of a string and the string contains Apple. Equal to sign, it is an assignment operator and it would assign the value on the right to the variable on the left. So if we want to check the value of A, simply type A and press enter. So as you can see now, A has the value of Apple. In a similar way, we can create a variable B and assign it a integer value. To view the value of B, simply write B and press enter. So in the same way, we can write C equals to 1.2, which is a float. D is equals to 2, which is a Boolean. And E is equals to none, which is a none data type. So these are the 5 data types and we have assigned the values of each data type to the variables. Suppose if we want to know the data type of A, so we can simply write type A. So type is a predefined function of Python which provides us the data type of the variable or value provided to it. So this gives us class str. So str stands for string. In a similar way, we can say type B. B is an integer. Here C is float. When we say type C, it gives us class float. Type D, it gives us bool, which stands for Boolean. And then type E. E has a none type. So basically how we create variable is, when we were first assigning it, so we assigned a equals to apple. So at that time a variable was created. We also say a variable named a was initialized with a value apple. If we now say a equals to mango, so here what is happening is the value of mango is being assigned to a, and the previous value of apple is now forgotten. Now the value of mango is assigned to a. This is called overwriting a variable. So in the same way we can do it for all these variables. So now we have seen how to create a variable. We have seen how to overwrite a variable. When we create a variable, there are three rules that we need to follow. The very first rule is that a variable can be a single word. Okay. What this basically means is a variable cannot have a space. The second rule is a variable can only have alphabets, numeric and underscore. So you cannot have any of the special symbols, okay, or even a space. And the third rule is variables should always start with the alphabet, with an alphabet. So basically what this means is we can have a as a variable, a2 as a variable, a underscore 2 as a variable. So if we want to create a variable, we need to make sure that all these rules are followed. So we will now create some variables. We can have a2 equals to 34. Then we can have a underscore 2 equals to 34. However, if we try to create a variable with 2a equals to 34, it will give us an error. So basically Python did not understand whether it was supposed to be an integer or not. So that's why variable should always start with the alphabet. Also, if we use any of the special symbols to create a variable name, then again it will give us an error. So it is very important to follow these three rules when we create a variable. We will create one more variable, capital A equals to apple. So now if we check, we have two variables. One is lowercase a, which has a value of mango, uppercase a, which has a value of apple. This means that variables are case sensitive. So having a variable with name ABC is different than having ABC or ABC. Okay. So variable names are case sensitive. It is always a good practice to name a variable which makes a certain sense. So example, we had A for mango, B for 1 to 3, C for 1.2 and D as a 2. So if we see here, we are not able to understand what is the data type of that variable. So it is not a rule. So it is always advised to have variable names which make sense. Example, we can have a string with str a, or maybe str fruit equals to mango. We can have a integer num which is equals to 1 to 3. We can have a float num which is 1.2, and maybe a boolean flag which is 2. Okay. So from this name itself, one would understand that yes, this This may be a string, it may be an integer, float, and a boolean. And to verify, we can again check it using type str float. So if we want to use the variables, suppose we have a, that is mango, capital A, that is apple. If we want to concatenate it, we can simply say a plus a, that will give us mango and apple. If we want to have a space, then we can say a plus concatenation, and we provide a space in between this plus capital A. So it gives us mango space apple. In a similar way, if we want to replicate, suppose we override the variable b with 2 and we want to replicate mango 2 times. So we would say a multiplied by 2. Okay. Suppose if we have int num1 which is 1 2 and int num2 which is 21. If we want to do any of the arithmetical operations, then we can simply say int num1 with the arithmetical operations. Suppose we do addition and int num2. Okay, so this is how you use a variable. So friends, I hope that you have understand how a variable is created, the use of a variable, and the basic rules that needs to be followed when creating a variable. In case you are facing any challenges, please post your queries in the comment box. I will try my best to revert back to your queries as soon as possible. Next video, we will learn about some of the important functions which are predefined by Python. So see you friends in the next video. Thank you. Hello, welcome back. In the last video, we have learned about how to create a variable, how to overwrite, how to use, and the basic 3 rules when creating a variable. So now we would be learning about 3 of the most basic functions of Python. So these are predefined functions. In the last video, we already saw type. So type is a predefined function of Python which gives us the data type of a variable or a value given to it. So let's start. Up till now, we were assigning the values to a variable. However, in real life examples, a user would be providing the values. So to take the value from a user, we use the function input, press enter. It would ask us to provide a value. Suppose if we write apple. So as you can see, a string value of apple was provided to the input. So it is always a good practice to store the value of input to a variable. So maybe we can have in a is equals to input. So let me type mango. So if I check the value of in a, it says mango. So in this way, input is used to get a value from user. To show a message to a user, we use print. Suppose if we want the user to enter a number, then we would say print enter a number. Okay, so a user would be able to see enter a number. As we are in command line, so here the output is printed by Python for each command. However, when we write codes in the .py files, at that time we need to use print to print a message to the user. Now we will take the value of a number from user. We say int b equals to input. So we give a number 1 to 3. So if we check the value of the variable I and b, we are able to see that it is still in single quotes. So we will check the type, and if we see that the type is a string, so basically whenever we take the input from a user using the input function, the input function will always return the value in a string format. Now suppose if we want to do a arithmetical operation on this I and B, if we want to increase its value by 2, if we do I and B plus 2, then it will give us an error stating can only concatenate str not int to str. Okay, so this error basically means we cannot concatenate a string to an integer. To solve this error, there is another predefined function which we will cover in the next video when we learn about casting of variables. So now we have learned about three functions: input, print, and type. There is one more function, length, len. So this function will give us the number of characters of a string. So we can also say length, capital A, and it was give us 5. A was apple. So length is a function which gives us the number of characters of a string. There are many predefined functions of Python, so we will learn them in the next videos. These were the 4 basic functions which we required for one of the assignments which we will be doing. So in the next lecture, we will learn about casting, where we will try to convert an integer into a string. In case you get any errors or challenges, kindly provide your queries in the comment box. I will try my best to reply back to your queries and try to solve them as soon as possible. Thank you. Friends, welcome back. In the last video, we have checked how we can get the user input using the predefined function input. However, the data type returned by input is always string. So as we are able to see here, the value of in A is also a string and in B is also a string. So when we tried to add 2 to in B, we got an error stating we are not able to concatenate string to an integer. So in order to convert a string to an integer, we can use a casting function which is int. As you are able to see, this would take any value and it would convert it to integer. However, it needs to be a base 10. So basically what it means is even the string, it needs to be of integer, means it needs to be a number basically. So as we are able to see, if we put int 12, then it gives us the integer value. We can also do it for negative. So example int -12. So it would give us -12. Now if we try to convert something like maybe 1a, so this would give us an error because 1a is not of base 10. Basically a is not of base 10, so that's why. So we can convert a string to an integer only if that is a number inside the string which is of base 10. In the same way, we can also convert float by using float and then providing it with a string value. So as you can see, the value is converted to a float. So we can simply say type and 1.2 with single quotes. So as you can see, the type is string. However, if we do a type of float with string value of 1.2, oh sorry, I did a typo, so it's type with float in between 1.2. Okay, so this is of type float. So basically the float function, it is converting the string to float. In the previous example, we had in A, which was a string apple. If we try to concatenate it with a number, then it gives us error, as this is a string and this is a integer. So in order to convert an integer to a string, we can simply use str. So str would convert an integer to a string. In the same way, it would convert a decimal, which is basically a float, to a string value. So we can say in A plus str 3, and this would come up as apple 3. So friends, in this way we can cast a data type of integer to a string, of float can be converted to a string as well. This is how we convert a string to a float and a string to a integer. Understanding the casting is very important. So basically in real life examples, you would be required where a user is providing you maybe a numeric input he wants to provide, but because input function returns only string, you need to make sure that you convert it to an integer value. Friends, welcome back. Till now we have seen what an expression is, the various data types and arithmetical operators. We have seen how to create a variable, how to use it, and also we have seen some of the predefined functions such as input, print, and the casting functions which are used to convert the data types. So putting this knowledge together, we will be writing a program that would be simply asking a user for his name and his age. Then we will display him his age after 5 years. So let's get started. So up till now we have been using this IDE. So it was very good when we wanted to check a single command or maybe execute a single expression. But now we want to write our very first Python program. So a program is a combination of multiple expressions. So we cannot use this command line for writing a program. So we will write the program in a .py file and then we will execute it. So we will simply go to file and create a new file. We will give it a name by pressing Ctrl S, or from file we will try to save it. We will give it a nice name, maybe chapter 6 program .py. Okay. So a Python file will always be of py extension. First we want to print him a message which says enter your name. So we would use the print function and we can use enter your name. Now the user will enter his name and we want to store it in a variable. So we will use str name equals to input. So as you can see, we are using camel casing here. So the first word is str, which means the variable is of string type, and then capital N name. So basically this means this is a variable of type string. So this is only the naming convention which I follow, and I would advise you all to follow the same. After that we will tell him to enter his age. So print enter age. enter your age. Now we want to store this value in a variable. So again it would be str age equals to input. So reason being why we are having it as str is that the return type of input is always a string. So even if he would be entering a number, it would still be converted to a string. Okay. So now we have two variables. One variable, it has its name, which is of string data type. Second one is str age, which has the numeric value in a string format. So now we want to calculate his age after 5 years. So simply we want to do is str age plus 5. So let us first try this and then we will print this value. So I would say int age is equals to str age plus 5. And then print int age. Okay. So now, as we all know, we would be getting an error because str age, it is of string data type. However, let us just execute the program. So we will execute this program by going on run and then run module, or we can simply press F5. So it says enter your name. So I say John. Enter your age. I say 23. And now we got an error. So the reason why we wanted this error is so that you would be able to understand this error. So here it says that in this code on line 5, in this line, there was a concatenation error. So we know this file and on line number 5. Okay, so here it said that there is a concatenation error. It is because we are not able to concatenate string with an integer. This was a string. So we will convert it to integer, int. Okay. And now we will try to run. Now we will try to run the code. So again, enter your name. So I say John. Enter your age, 23. So it gave him a message stating his age. However, this is not a very, user-friendly message. So we will update this. So what we want is print we want to print hello and then his name. So we will be using a concatenation hello plus John. So basically the name of the variable, your age after 5 years will be plus. So again, as this is an integer, it would give an error. So we would simply convert it using a casting function str. Okay, and we will run it using this run module or pressing F5. So it is again asking, enter the name, we say John, we say 23, and it says, hello John, your age after 5 years will be 28. So friends, congratulations, we have executed our very first Python program. So this was the .py file. Okay, so I have saved it now again. So now we will try to execute this same file using command prompt. So I would just copy the path and then I will go to command prompt. I would go to CD, this one, and then I would try to execute our program. So we would just try to execute it using this way. It says enter your name. I say Monesh. Enter your age 22. Hello Monesh, your age after 5 years will be 27. And the program got auto closed. So friends, this is how you execute your py file from command prompt. If you have any queries or facing any challenges, kindly post them in the comment box. I will try my best to revert back to you as soon as possible. In the next video, we would be learning what a comparison operators are. Till now, we have learned only the basic arithmetical operators where we did basic mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, and multiplication. However, in the next video, we would be learning about the comparison operators. Hello friends, welcome back. So up till now, we have only used arithmetic operators. So arithmetic operators, they basically work on the integers and floats, and we have also seen operators which work on string where we are able to concatenate and replicate the string. Now let us learn comparison operators. Comparison operators compare two values and evaluate to a single Boolean value. There are 6 comparison operators. First is equal to, then there is not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Let us now see how they work. So as the name suggests, equal to is used to check whether both the values of the expression are equal or not. If we say 12 equals to 12, then it will give us 2. Reason being the value on the left and on the right both are equal. If we say 12 equals to 13, then it would be false. In the same way, not equal to. So if we say 12 not equal to 12, it is false. And if we say 12 not equals to 13, it was 2. Reason being 12 is not equal to 13. So equal to, it works for all data types. Example, we can say apple equals to mango, false. And if we say apple equals apple, then it would be 2. Not equal to also works for all the data types. If we say apple not equal to mangoes, we get 2. If we say apple not equals to apple, then we get false. The remaining 4 operators, they work properly on integer and floats. Example, if I say 12 greater than 13, we get false. 12 less than 13, we get 2. Similarly, 12 greater than or equals to 13, false. 12 less than or equals to 13, 2. Okay. If we say less than or equals to 12, then again it is 2. In the same way, it also works with float. Okay. So greater than or equal to, it will give you a result even for string. If we say apple greater than mango, it would give us false. However, it is advised never to use them with strings. They should only be used with integers and floats. Let us check out binary Boolean operators. So Boolean operators are used to compare Boolean values. Like comparison operators, they also evaluate this expression down to a Boolean value. So there are basically three operators: AND, OR, and NOT. The AND operator evaluates an expression to 2 if both the values are 2. So we can say AND will to 2 if both values are 2. For example, if we say 2 and 2, then we get 2. If we say 2 and false, we get false. So these are called Boolean operators. The reason being they work only on Boolean values. Okay. So we have check AND will be 2 only if both the values are 2, else it would always be false. On the other hand, OR operator evaluates an expression to 2 if either of the Boolean value is 2. Example, if we say 2 or 2, it would give us 2. 2 or false, 2 or false, it would be 2. So it will give false only if both the values are false. Okay. So we can say OR will evaluate to 2 if any value is 2. If both are false, then only false. Okay. Then the last is NOT operator. So NOT operator, it will operate only on one Boolean value. It would simply evaluate to the opposite of Boolean value. Opposite of Boolean value. So example, if I say not 2, it means false. Not false means 2. So in this way, we have now learned about comparison operators. Comparison operators compare two values and evaluate down to a single Boolean value. However, binary operators, they compare only Boolean values and they also evaluate to a single Boolean value. So in binary Boolean operators, we can also use comparison operators. Reason being, a comparison operator anyways will evaluate to a Boolean value. So we can say 4 is greater than 5 and 3 is less than 4. So in this case, if we see 4 is greater than 5, this itself is false. So the answer here is false. And for 2, if anything is false, it will give us false. Okay. In the same way, if we say 1 is equals to 2 or 2 is less than 1, so it would give us false. Reason being 1 equals to 2 would be false, or this would also be false. So false or false is always false. Computer would always evaluate the left expression first, then the right expression, and then it would compare both the expression values. So in this way, we can use comparison operators along with Boolean operators. So in the next lecture, we would be learning about the flow control. Hello friends, welcome back. Up till now, we have executed only single expressions at a time. So basically, we are giving one instruction to the Python and it is evaluating that expression and giving us a value. The true strength of any programming language is the ability to select which expression needs to be evaluated, which expression needs to be skipped, or which expression needs to be executed repeatedly. So to achieve this ability, we use flow control statements. Basic flow control statements that we would be using is if, for, and while. If the if statement is used to select or maybe skip some of the instructions, whereas for and while they are used to repeat certain instructions multiple times. We would be looking into details of these in the next lecture. Currently, let us understand the basic structure of a flow control statement. We have already seen this is the command line and it is useful only to execute one expression at a time. So we would be creating a new file and we would be giving it a name flow control .py. So Python files, they have extension .py. Okay. Hashtag, it is used to comment the lines. What that means is everything written after the hash would not be executed by Python. So we can say a flow control has two parts, condition and second is block. Condition means a expression which would evaluate to a Boolean value. So basically Boolean expressions. Block, these are the lines of Python instructions that is grouped together. Okay. So basically flow control is nothing but condition and a block. So when writing a block, there are three major rules. The first one is a block would always begin with a indentation, that is basically a space should be there. Second is a block can have multiple blocks inside it. We would be learning about it in the next lectures. Also, a block would end when the indentation decreases to 0 or to a containing block. So we will understand the flow control with if statement. So the syntax for if would be if bracket condition. So condition, if we say 1 is greater than 2, always in flow control statements, whenever a block would start, there should be a colon. Once you press enter, if you are able to see here, there is a space is there. So this is where a block is started. So we would say print inside if. Okay. So we would save it and we would execute the code. So as you can see, nothing is printed. Reason being the condition was false. So we would say 4 greater than 2, execute inside the if. So the print statement is executed. So basically, as you can see, a flow control statement is, it has a condition. Condition would be any expression that would evaluate to a Boolean value. And a block, it could be a single line of code or multiple codes where we can say b equals to 5, c equals to 4 and print b plus c. Okay. And if we execute this code, then we get 9. So basically 4 plus 5, this was printed. Okay. So now let us understand the if statement in details. So when we say if, so basically if would check if this condition, whatever is provided, is true or false. If it is true, then this block of code is executed. Let me say inside if. Okay. So only if this condition is met, only then this block of code would be executed. And if we want to get out of the block, then we simply press backspace and then we are outside the block. And if we say here print, this is out of if. Okay, if we execute this, we are able to see in and out of if. So again, if we want, if the condition is true, then this code is executed. However, what if the condition is false and we want it to execute something? Then it would have else. Print inside else. Okay. So basically 4 is greater than 2. In that case, this statement was executed. We would say 4 is greater than 6. In this case, this condition would be false. And so this line of code is ignored and it would jump to else. And then this line of code would be executed. So let us just execute it. So as you can see, it has printed inside else and then out of if. In Python, if we want to evaluate multiple conditions, then we can use else if, and then condition, where we would say if 4 is equals to 4. Then again, here we need to have colon. So colon is very important. It would indicate that a block is to be started. Then we say print inside else if. Okay. And now we will execute this code. So as you can see, I got a error when I am executing this code. Reason being, I was using an assignment operator. We need to use a comparison operator. Now we would execute it. Okay, so it was inside the else if block. So friends, this is how a if statement works. If, then the condition. If the condition is true, then the block of code is executed. Else if we have another condition, then as if it would check for another condition. If this condition is true, then a certain block of code would be executed. Next lecture, we will have a small assignment where we will take two numbers from user and we would display which number is greater. Let us now create a small program where we take two numbers as input from user and we compare both the numbers and we tell them which number is greater. Okay, so to start it we would search for IDLE and we would open the default IDE of Python, then create a new file. We would save it and give it a name, program2 underscore find max of two numbers .py. Okay, so as you know, first we want to instruct the user that he needs to enter a number. So we would say print enter a number. We will use the input function and we would be using one variable num1 equals to input, num equals to input. Now as we know that the input will always give string value, so we would use int to cast the string to integer. Okay, then we would say print enter second number. Okay, and we would say num2 equals to int input. So to find out the max of num1 or num2, we need to use a flow control statement where we would be using if statement, and then we will check if number 1 is greater than num2. So we would say if condition would be num1 greater than num2. Then we need to have colon and print first number is greater. Okay. And what if first number is not greater than num2? Then we can have else print second number is greater. Okay. We would save the code and we would run it. So it is asking enter a number, we would say 12, enter a second number, we would say 32, and it would say that the second number is greater. Okay. However, if we look at the logic of this code, it is first checking if num1 is greater than num2. If it is greater, then first number is greater, else second number is greater. What if both the numbers have same value? So we say run, enter a number, we say 32, second number 32, and it still says that the second number is greater. So that means num1 and num2 both can be equal. So we need to have one more set of condition. So after this print statement, that is at the end of this block, we would press the enter and then backspace. Then we will use else if num1 is, we would use else if and say num2 is greater than num1, then colon start of the block print second number is greater. Okay. Else both numbers are equal. Okay. So we would save the code and then execute it. So in this case, if I put first num as 25 and second num as 25, then we get both numbers are equal. So friends, I hope that this was useful to you to understand how the if statement works. So if it would have a condition, if that condition is true, then the block of code is executed. Always remember, after the condition, we need to have a colon. The colon would tell Python that a block is to be started, and so there would be a space would be there. Then we have else if, which would again check for the condition, and then again the block would be executed. If the condition of both if and else if is false, then the else would be executed. Also, we can have multiple else if. So we can have else if and then some condition, else if and then some condition, maybe we just put it to, and then print second else if is executed. Okay. So in this code, if num1 is greater than num2, then this block of code is executed. If num2 is greater than num1, then this block of code is executed. However, if even this condition is false, then this else if would be executed. Since it is true, always this line of code would be executed. Okay, so we will execute this. So it says enter a number, we say 24, second number also 24. So friends, in this case, as both are same, this condition is false, then it would check for this condition. Again, this condition is false. It is checking this condition. Here it is true. So always if both the condition are false, then this line would be executed. This block of code would be executed. So when we press enter, it says second as if is executed. So in this way, a if statement works. It can have multiple as if, only one if, and only one else statement. Also, there can be nested if, where we can have multiple if in the blocks. So basically here we can have if num1 equals to 23 colon print num1 is 230. Okay, so what we are checking is, so what we are doing is, first if this num1 is greater, then again we are checking if num1 is equals to 230. If num1 value is 230, then this line of code is executed. So this is called nested if, where we are using if inside the block of a parent if. So let us execute this code. Enter the number. So we say 230, second number we say 23, first number is greater, and num1 is 230. So both these statements were executed. So if statement is basically used to decide whether a block of code needs to be executed or not. In the next lecture, we would be learning about loops. So loops would be like when we want to repeatedly execute a line of code. Okay friends, and if you have any queries or challenges, kindly put your queries or challenges in the comments, and I would try my best to revert back as soon as possible. Thank you. So now we would be learning about loops. So loops are basically used to repeat a certain block of code multiple times. There are two types of loops, while and for. So let us look at while loop. So again we would be using Python IDE. We would create a new file. We would save it and give it a name while loop.py. Okay. So as we all know, a flow statement will always have a condition and then a block. So the same, we will give it a condition. So maybe we will have a variable I equals to 1, and the condition would be while I is less than 5. So inside while and then print I. Okay. Now if we execute, and then we will increase the value of I plus 1. Okay, so that this would be executed only 4 times. So we would be increasing the value of I, and then we will execute it. So as you can see, here it was executed 4 times. However, by mistake we have given it the value of string. So for variable we need to have I and then execute it. So as we can see, it was first the I had value 1, So at that time the condition was 2. So this line was executed inside while. Then print I. So 1 was executed. Then the value of I was incremented by 1. So it had 2 value. So again 2 was less than 5. In the same way it was executed till 4. So here the value of 4 plus 1, it was 5. And so the condition was false, and so the block was not executed. And so this is how a while flow control statement is used to repeatedly execute a block of code. So we would be using a while statement when there is some condition where we want to execute a code till a certain condition is met. Okay, and if we know that we want to execute a code for n number of time, then we would be using for loop. So let us learn about for loop in the next lecture. Also, if you have any queries or questions or challenges regarding while loop, do let me know in the comment box and I would revert back as soon as possible. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome back. So in the last lecture, we learned about while. How a while loop can be used to execute a block of code till a certain condition is true. However, if we know the number of times we want to execute a block of code, then we can use for loop. So let us now understand the syntax of for. We would create a new file. We would save it for loop.py. Okay. So as we know, for flow control, there is a condition and then a block of code. So for also is the same. For then a certain condition colon and then the block of code print inside for. As we want to execute this n number of times, we use the range function. So I can simply say for a variable name I in range, and then range is a inbuilt function. So as you can see, it can has a start, stop, and then optionally a step. Okay, so I would say range 1 till 5. Okay, and then print the value of I. Okay, so what this range means is it would consider basically range of 1 comma 5. It means 1 2 3 and 4. So the boundary condition of the last, this is not considered. So range 1 to 5 means 1 2 3 4. However, if we say range 2 comma 5, this means again 2 3 4. If we simply say range of 5, so this means 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, so let us execute this code. So expected value for 1 comma 5 is 1 2 3 and 4. So we would execute it, and as we are able to see, it's 1 2 3 and 4. So let us play with this range function a bit. So we would say range 1 to 10. Okay, when we execute it, it gives us 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So by default it is incrementing by 1. So as you can see, I was 1, then 2, then 3 4 till 9. If we want to increment it by 2, then we say 2. So basically what this means is 1 10 comma 2. This means 1, then 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 7 till 9. Okay, so let us execute this code. As we are able to see, it is giving us 1 3 5 7 and 9. Okay. So as we have checked here, we are here only incrementing from 1 to 10 with a step of 2. What if we want to decrement? Maybe we want to print 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So to print something like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we need to have 10, comma 0, comma -1. Okay. So we will first execute it and check. Okay. So as we are able to see, the initial value of I was 10. Okay. After that the value was decremented by 1. So it was 10 minus 1, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And again the boundary condition, it was not included. So basically 0 was not part of it. So we can say range of 10 to 0 minus 1. This means 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 and 1. So friends, this is our for loop works. We want to print something like this, where we have 1 star, then 2, 3, 4 and then 5. So in this case, we know that we need the code to be executed 5 number of times. Okay. And on every execution, the star is incremented by 1. Or we can simply say it is like for first 1 star, second 2 star, 3 stars. So this same program could be written as, so the program for this could be written as, so we will write something like I in range of 1 to 6. Okay. So I would just remove this, and then we can say print I multiplied by star. So friends, in the very first lecture we have learned about string replication. So here what we are doing is we are simply replicating this star multiple times as the value of I. So if there is I has value 1, then star is replicated once. If it is 2, then it is replicated twice. So it is simply I multiplied by star. So when we execute this code, yes, we are able to get the same thing. Okay. So friends, this is how the for loop works. If you have learned any other programming languages, you would know and you would understand that in any other programming language, to write this same code, we would have considered nesting for loops. So basically we would have required one for loop to calculate the vertical stars and the horizontal stars, the matrix basically. However, in Python, because of string replication, the code was pretty much easy and only 2-line code. So this is the strength of Python. It is easy to learn, and also the number of lines to be written are much less as compared to maybe Java or C or even C++. Thank you, friends. Hello all, welcome back. So today we are going to learn about data structures in Python. So basically data structure is a way of organizing and storing data in a structured way. So it would allow us for efficient retrieval, manipulation and management of data. So we would be looking at multiple examples where I would try to make you understand the benefits of using a data structures and how it makes your life easy when you are coding. Okay. So there are mainly 4 data structures in Python. First is list, second is tuple, third is set, and fourth is dictionaries. So let us start with list. Okay. So list are ordered collection of elements of different data types. So what it means is list can have a collection of data which is of different data types. You can have a Boolean value, you can have string, integers, floats, and also lists are mutable, which means we would be able to modify their contents after its creation. So let us create a very first list. A list will always start with a opening square bracket, then it can have data content. So we will have a string, then another string b, then an integer. Okay, so this is a list. So we will try to understand this list. So this list has a length of 4. Okay, so basically it has 4 elements. So the first element, this is a string value. The second is also a string. The third and fourth are integers. So we can also say that the 0th index of list is a string of value a. So the index would start with 0. So the first item in list is set to be at index 0. Then 1, 2 and 3. Okay. So maybe we will create a variable and then we will try to manipulate the list and try the various functions of the list. So we will create a variable of list and then it would be easy for you to understand how we manipulate list, how do we retrieve data, how we append or destroy the list. Okay. So we would say LL. So we would create maybe my list equals to A, B, C and D. Okay. So we will check our list, my list variable. So it has been created. If we want to check the type of this variable, we will simply say type my list and it will give us that it is of class list. We would be learning about class in our future lectures. If we want to get the value of the very first index, we say my list and index 0. Okay. So when we want to retrieve data, we write the name of the list, square bracket, and the value inside it needs to be only an integer and it is called index. Okay. So it will start with 0. Okay. So similarly, if I say my list 2, then it would be C. So this is 0, 1 and 2. Okay. So each and every data here, this is called a item. And as you can see, the items are separated by commas in a list. So up till now we have seen how to create a list, how to get data using the index. The index would always start with 0 and the individual data is called a item. So now our list has total 4 items. So the index would be 0 to 3. So if I put 3, I get the last item, that is D. If I put my list and then index 4, so the length of our list is only 4. Okay, so the index can be only 0 till 3. So 4, we would get an error stating index out of range. Okay, so if you are getting this error, that means you are trying to access an index which is not present for that list. So using the index, we were able to retrieve a single value of the list. If we want to retrieve multiple items, then we use slice. So it's very easy. We simply say mylist, again a square bracket, and then we can say the start and the end. So mylist square bracket, the start of the index from which we want till the last value. So if we put 2, so this 2 is not considered. So it would only retrieve for mylist 0 and mylist 1. Okay. So if we want only the second and third item, then we would say mylist 1, 3. Okay friends, so as you can see, I used a comma instead of colon. So we need to make sure that we are only using colons. So what we are expecting here is, when we say one index, that means the second item and the third item. Okay. So 1 and 2. 3, this won't be considered. So as you are able to see, we are able to get B and C. Okay, I will just print the list here again. Okay. If we want the last item of the list, we can simply say list minus 1. Okay, so this would give us the last item. If we want all the items after maybe the second position, we can simply say I mylist 1, and we do not provide the range of the last item. Okay, so it would not consider the first and give us all the remaining 3. If we want to omit the first 2, we would simply say mylist 2 colon. Okay. So this is how we slice the list and get multiple values. If we want a single value, we use index. As we have seen, for my list of 4, we get error, okay, stating list index out of range. So if we want to know the length of the list, we can simply use length function. Okay, and so it would give us that the length is 4. So when the length is 4, the maximum index would be 3, because it would start from 0, 1, 2 and 3. Now suppose our list has A, B, C, D, right? Suppose we want to replace D with double D. So we can simply say my list index 3 and its value would be double D. So this would replace the value at the index 3. So the assignment operator, so let us understand this first. So here we are using the assignment operator. So the value on the right side, that would replace the value at the third position. Okay. So when we say my list, the D gets replaced. So be careful that whenever you are using an assignment operator, you are actually replacing the value at that index. If we want to delete an index, maybe a value at an index, we can simply say delete my list and the index. Suppose we again say 3. So we want to delete double D. Okay. And now if we check, we have ABC. We want a code to do something based on the value of the list. So we want to retrieve the list by one index, do some calculation, then by second index. So for that, we can use for loop. So we can simply say for I in mylist, again colon. Please make sure that you always use a colon before the start of a block and simply say print I. Okay, so this would print the list. So here we could have written something like print I multiplied by 2, then it would have printed double A. Okay, so this is how we retrieve each and every item and do some code manipulations. So up till now we have just checked on how to create a list, how to get a data by index, or maybe get multiple values using slice and using for loop. So now we would be looking at some of the methods that list support. So method is a function that can be used on values. So it is not a function, it is like a function. Okay. So method is like a function that we can use on values. Example, maybe suppose if we have my list, right, and we want to get the index of value C. Okay, so my list, this is a variable, so basically it has a value. So we are using value dot method, so we are using the index method. So our index method would give us the index of this value. So this would give us 2. So the second method is append. Okay, so append, what it will do is it would append a value at the end of list. For example, we would simply say my list dot append, and then maybe we can put D again. Okay, and now if we check my list, then we have D. So insert would be used to insert a value at a specified index. Suppose if we want to put a value A1 at index 1, we would simply say my list index 1 dot insert and then the value. So the value would be A1. Okay, my bad. So it's like my list dot insert, and then the first would be the index and second would be the value of the index that we want to insert. Okay, so now if we check, A1 is inserted at index 1. Previously we had deleted a item using the index value. Suppose if we want to remove a item with value A1, in that case we would use my list dot remove and then the value that we want to remove. Okay, so if we check the my list again, it would be ABCD, then the value A1 is removed. So this is how we append a list, how we insert an item in between a list, how we remove any item where a value is known, and using the delete function we can delete a item using its index value. Okay, so friends, this is how we create and manipulate list. So list is a huge topic, however I have tried to cover some of the important methods that we can use in our assignments. Okay, if you face any issues or any challenges, kindly let me know in the comment box. I would try my best to revert back as soon as possible. Thank you. So we have learned about list. Now let us learn about tuple. So tuple is a data type similar to list, except the fact that it is immutable. What immutable means is we will not be able to edit the tuple once it is created. In list we were able to insert an item, remove an item, whereas in tuple we cannot do it. If we want to create a tuple, we use round brackets. Suppose we create a variable with name my tuple, and we create a tuple simply saying apple, mango and cherry. Okay, so if we see my tuple, oh, it's my tuple. So friends, as you are able to see, even if we get errors now, we should try to read them and they would give us exact point why we got that error. Okay, so here it says my tuple is not defined. So did you mean my tuple? So it is also giving us the recommendation that this is a variable which is present. Okay, so if we want to know its type, we would say my tuple. So it says that it is of class tuple. So again, if we want to retrieve a data from a tuple, we simply use my tuple, and similar to list, we use square brackets. Okay, so it is very much similar to list. We need to use the same things which we used with list. So we say my tuple round bracket 1 comma 3. So it would give us the first and second item. Okay, so this is how you retrieve data from tuple. If you try to insert data, example my tuple index of 0, assign it value a, it would give us error stating tuple object does not support item assignment. In the same way, we will not be able to remove an item. So if we say remove bracket and I say apple, then it says tuple doesn't have attribute remove. Okay friends, that's why tuple is said to be immutable, because we are not able to edit it. We are not able to edit any of the data once it is created. So if you remember string, if I say str string 1 equals to apple, okay, so string is also immutable. So string, if we want to get the values of string, maybe the first value, then we can use similar to list, because string is also just a, it is similar to a list which has 5 items, right? So if I say string 0, it would get apple. If you want the last item of string, you simply say -1 and you get the last item. Okay, sorry, it's str1 and then -1. Okay, and you get the last item. So in the same way, we cannot edit it. So if I try to put maybe q, it will give us error that string does not support item assignment. So that's why we say that a string is immutable. That is, we cannot modify the data of a string. Yes, we can overwrite it. So for example, string 1 equals to, I say, mango. Okay. So here string 1 has a value of mango. First it had apple. So here we have overwritten the variable string. However, we have not manipulated the data of the original string, which was str1 was apple. Okay, so that is what is immutable thing. So basically immutable means we cannot modify the data. Suppose we have my list, okay, it has ABCD, and we want to know if a certain value is present in a list or not. So we can simply say D in my list. Okay, so it would say true. If we try to put S in my list. Okay, it would say false. So basically in can be used to check whether a value is present in a list or not. In the same way, it can also be used with tuple. So if I say my tuple, sorry, my tuple, if I say apple in my tuple, it would say true. If I say in it would say false. So in can be used to check whether a value is present in a list or a tuple. So friends, if you have any queries, kindly let me know in the comment box. I would try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. So the next we would be learning is dictionary data types. So see you in the next lecture. So in the last lecture, we have learned about list and tuple. So those are all ordered data structures. Reason being, those can be ordered by their indexes. So now we are going to learn about dictionary. Dictionary is a built-in data structure that represents an unordered collection of key value pairs. So when I say that unordered, in the sense that for list, as we are able to see, it's in an ordered way, that is 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, the order matters. However, for dictionary, the order doesn't matter. Dictionary is a collection of key and value pairs. So it is also known as map or hash map in other programming languages. Okay. So each key in a dictionary must be unique and it is used to access its corresponding value. So maybe we will create a very first dictionary. I would name it my dog equals to a dictionary is created using curly brackets. Okay, so I would say name. So my name's dog is Bagheera. Breed. So my dog is a pug. And then maybe his age. So he is 1 year old. Okay. So we will check the dictionary. So my dog, and we get name Bagheera, breed pug, and age is 1. So if we want to check the type, we can simply say type and then my dog. Okay, it's a class dictionary. If we want to get all the keys of the dictionary, we can say my dog dot keys. Okay, so this would give us the 3 keys. So basically name, breed and age. If we want all the values of our dictionary, we say my dog dot values. Okay, it would give us Bagheera, pug and 1. If we want, the key and value pair, we say my dog dot items. So again, this pair is one item. This key value pair is another item. Okay. So the dictionary items are name is Bagheera, breed is pug and age is 1. If we want to access using the name, we can say my dog and then we can use it as a list. So simply saying name. So name is like an index of a list. So we say dictionary bracket the key and we get its value. If we want to know the length, we can say length, then again dictionary name and we get the number of items present in the dictionary. Okay. Again we can use get, example my dog dot get and then we use round bracket to get the name. Okay, so we can use this method also, which is similar to this, or we can use the dot get method. Okay, if we want to add a new key and value to the dictionary, we simply say the name of the dictionary, bracket, and then maybe color of our dog. So we say black. Okay, so now if we check our dog, one more key value pair has been added. If we want to edit the value, then we can simply say my dog, its key, maybe color, and then using the assignment operator, we give it color. So my pug Bagheera, he is of fawn color. Okay, so we say my dog, then we get name, breed, age, and color. If we want something to be by default to a dictionary, then we can simply say my dog dot set default in bracket the key value pair eats and he is chicken. Okay, so there were two mistakes. One is the variable name itself is incorrect and also the syntax is incorrect. So we put my dog dot set default first is the key eats and second is the value. Okay, so if we check my dog, a new item has been added that he eats chicken. If the item would have been existing, if the dictionary already had a key eats, then this function would have not done anything. So in dictionary, the keys needs to be unique. So a set default would create a key value. If the key is present, the set default would create a key value pair if the key is not present. If it is present, it will not do anything. Okay, suppose if we want to delete a key value pair, we can simply use delete dictionary name and then the key name, maybe color. Okay, and now if we check, then the color is gone. We will again add the key color, my dog in bracket color equals to fawn. Okay, my mistake. So my dog color equals to fawn. Okay, so if we check my dog, then the color fawn has been added. If we want to remove a key value pair, however, we want to know the value that is being removed, then we use the pop function. So we will have a variable string str color which says my dog dot pop and then the key name. Okay, if we check my dog, then color has been removed, and if we check str color, then the color is stored in this variable. So friends, this is how we manipulate a dictionary. So a dictionary is very useful when we want to access some records by a key value pair. Okay, I hope that this video was useful for you. If you have any queries, kindly let me know in the comment section. So I will try my best to revert and solve your queries as soon as possible. Let me know your feedback as to what improvements I need to do. So currently I have just published one video. In the future I am planning to open my own YouTube channel where I would be publishing the various videos of maybe Python, which would include, data analysis, data visualization, web development. Then again, we can have a series on RPA, that is robotic process automation. And also, since I am from the security background, we can also have the concepts of what are the attack vectors and how we can defend our application from a hacker. Thank you friends, kindly let me know your feedback.